Good morning, everybody. Steve here, the retired hobby tech guy, and today we're doing a little bit of testing on, we're doing a little bit of a test grid. And the test grid is we're using basswood, which is like 3 millimeter. It doesn't really make any difference because we're not cutting it. But what we're trying to find is the best setting. And that's what we're going to take a look at here is this. So there is what we're looking for. So we're going to zoom in there. And along the bottom is going to be the power settings that will range from 35% to 60%, and the speed is going to go from 2,000 to 5,000 millimeters per minute. So that's what we're trying to find out, is what is going to be the best setting for our little graphic that we got there. So yeah, we're going to be checking that out. Matter of fact, and this is going to run a total of 16 minutes. So this is going to take a little bit of time. So let's go ahead and put a camera overlay on this onto camera B so we can see what's going on. And let me see if we can. Yep. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on that right there. But what we're ended up doing is we're doing this test grid, and I want to show you that over here. So if I can figure out how to do the desktop, okay, yeah, that's what we want. And here's what we end up having. And I think I can, I can't do that. Okay. So anyway, I'm just going to be in the mix here. So anyway, in Lightburn, we have a material test generator, which we can find under laser tools. And basically what we end up doing is we can set the power level, we can set the number of rows and columns, and then we can set the speed, so the max speed being as fast as your machine can go. And you want to kind of put the recommended settings in the middle. So about 3,500 is about the middle. And then with the power of 35 up to 60, we should get some good variation, and we can kind of narrow down what we want for that. And what we're going to try to print out is this stuff here, which is a graphic. And I can't do anything. I guess I could close this. Yep, I can close this. And this is the graphic that we're taking a look at. Now that is pretty damn cool, if you ask me. So the idea behind this is I've got this graphic. It's highly detailed, three-dimensional on a 2D flat piece of plane thing. And what we're going to end up doing is checking out, after we run this test, we'll run this here. And that way we can find out, I mean, that's pretty detailed. But what we're going to end up doing is trying different types of settings on this. Now, this is just an initial thing, and I thought, well, yeah, I'll just run this and we'll be done with it. I thought, well, if we're going to do it, let's do it the right way. And yeah, that's what we're going to end up doing, is doing it the right way. So let me put me over here. So yeah, I think this looks pretty damn cool. In all actuality, that's going to be great. So what we're going to end up doing after we get the test done is we'll look at each one of these. And so, for example, we'll try the grayscale and see how that turns out at whatever recommended speed and power setting. Between that and dithering, and then Lightburn also has Jarvis, which is a high quality dithering, and then Stucky. So we've got 4 different types, and it's real hard to tell the difference between all of these, even doing the preview, because when you look at the preview, the grayscale usually is used for, I mean, if it comes out like that, that would be awesome if we could get that type of detail. But when we look at that, and there's the dithering, and we'll go down here, and you can kind of see a little bit of the difference between these two. So it'll be really interesting to find out and see what the differences are in all of these, and to see which one is going to look the best on this basswood, this 3mm basswood. So yeah, this is going to turn out pretty neat. I think that's kind of the goal. And again, just like with anything else in laser engraving, you have to dial in your machine to your material. And what I found out is that the software makes a difference as well. So we have CutLab X that came with the K10, which is only a 5-watt laser system. It's a beginner entry level, it's nothing big. But what I've noticed is there's a difference in the quality of the engravings between Lightburn, which is the software that we see here, versus the CutLab X. And that's because Lightburn has more bells and whistles, more things that you can tinker with. You can adjust the DPI, you can adjust so many other things on this. And so with all those little adjustments that you can make, you can really fine tune it and get some better prints than you would with the CutLab's X software. So with that, that's what we got going on there. So this is going to be kind of cool. So let's go back and see what we got going on here. And there is our engraving right there. I guess I can get rid of the coffee cup. If you want to buy me a coffee, you can look in the link down below in the description box. And we've got about 10 minutes left on this, and we're doing a single pass. So with a single pass, in other words, we're not going to go through and do 2 passes on this. In other words, it's only going to go once, so that'll save us a little bit of time. But yeah, and I also got an aluminum, see that kind of that dark color there that the basswood is sitting on? That's an aluminum piece that, it's got some screw holes. You can make a jig and do all things like that. But it helps protect the surface of my hobby mat, because when I've been doing cutting and engraving and so on and so forth, I've got a lot of marks on my hobby mat. So I figured I'd spend a little extra money, get the aluminum thing to save the wear and tear on my hobby mat, because it's definitely have some burn marks. But yeah, that's going to turn out, I think that's going to turn out pretty good. And again, we got our Mando guy over there. So I printed him out in resin and painted him out, so he came out pretty good. Closer picture of him. But that turns out kind of good. And then we have our little, I don't know if you can see that. Work, maybe. Yeah. Close enough for government work. But yeah, this engraving is going to be interesting, because we're definitely going to find out what are the best settings for this basswood. And again, like I said, what we're going to end up doing is running that type of graphic and try to find out which is the best setting. And ultimately, I have some slate coming in. So I have some, I think it's round slate coasters that are coming in, and I want to engrave those with this as coasters. I think that would be pretty cool. So that's, we'll see how this goes on the basswood, and then of course we'll have to dial in and do test prints on the slate coasters, so that should be pretty interesting as well. But once I get everything dialed in, the cool thing is you can save those settings, and whenever you do a slate coaster, you could just pull those settings up from the library and you'll be good to go. So yeah. And we've got about 7 minutes left. And I'm going to be getting, I'm planning on getting a better laser. Because this is a Barney Basic entry laser, it's the Wainlux K10, and they've got another laser that's a little bit better, that is the K8, which has some more bells and whistles on it. It's got a camera and stuff like that, so it's a little bit higher end, but not like high end like X Tools or Raleigh Lasermatics, or some of the other big names in like We Create and stuff like that. No, this is kind of like the very, very entry level lasers that we have. So yeah, this should be kind of interesting. And this kind of gets me to like wondering. Let me see if I can find. No, that's not it. And to get a better look at some of these. And that's why I'm thinking about getting a laser that can handle some serious engraving, like on metals and things like that, because the graphic that I want to do is, like, for example, this one here, that's a kick-ass graphic. I mean, that is cool. So there's that one, and then there's this one here. I think that would be awesome if you could find a rectangular slate or even a piece of wood and having this engraved, but that's just some incredible artwork. So yeah, what are some of the other ones? Some other ideas that I've gotten is like this one here. So there we have Namsan Tower, that's Seoul. So that would be kind of a cool one to do as well. And then here's another one. So you got Namsan Tower, Seoul, the river, the whole 9 yards. That would look really cool on a coaster, I think, or some type of thing. And then let's see if we can find. Here's some other ones. So there's another Korea-themed one. That's Soraksan Mountain, which would kind of a pagoda and stuff like that. Let's see, what is the? Here's another one, another round one that I was looking at doing for doing coasters, which that would look cool. And then this is another one that would look kind of cool. Soraksan Mountain with kind of a Korean village down at the base. Of course, this is AI generated, but yeah, that looks kind of cool. I mean, just the cool part about this is seeing that AI made up all of this stuff is just pretty incredible. I mean, that's just wild on that AI can come up with all this stuff. So yeah, pretty incredible. There's some other cool ones. Oh yeah, here's some other cool ones. Kind of like this for the Warhammer. Tell me that wouldn't be cool. That would be awesomely cool. So anyway, it looks like we're coming up close to our finish time. So we got about 3 minutes left. Shouldn't it be done? Why has it got 2 minutes and 50 some odd seconds left? Oh, the border. No, just other. I guess it just has other stuff it's got to print out. Oh, another row. Okay. So it's got a whole nother row. And, you know, with the test matrix, I did a test matrix like this one here. And if this thing will focus. Why is it not focusing? But there we go. So you can see the intervals. This is an interval of 0.1, and what I'm running now is an interval of 0.05. And this was a little bit different test. So I wanted to get a little bit more accurate for this. So it'll be interesting to see how this comes out with this test. And it's a single pass. I didn't do cross fill. But we should get a pretty good test with this. And then when we do our graphics like this here, that will, if I can get that to print out, that would be awesome. Those graphics there. In case anybody's wondering, it's Saturday the 26th October at 8:25 in the morning here in Korea. So wherever you're at, good morning, good afternoon, I don't know, day before, day after, I'm not sure, guess it depends on where you live. But we're just kind of piddling around here at the Varied Life. And I'm really looking into doing more engraving, which reminds me, I talked about in a previous video how I started doing, you can see there, I did a little bit of engraving on this jar, this decorative jar, and it has, you know, multiple sides of glass. And with that, I'm going to start getting into glass engraving. Of course, I have to run test grids, but I got a number of these glass pieces. So, of course, you can't see through it, it's glass. But we'll be able to run test pieces just like this, like we did on the balsa wood. And I think we are done. But we're going to do that. So let's take a look and see what this looks like. And there is our picture, which I've got it zoomed in a lot. That way? No, this way. So we can end up seeing that we got pretty good coverage on there, especially for what we're trying to do, and it should end up pretty good. Let's go back to this and we'll turn some light on here so you can see what's going on. So this came out pretty good. And we've got a wide range of colors. And see if we can zoom in on this. Focus. Come on. Yeah, there we go. Now we'll just kind of. There. Yeah, there we go. So with that, what we can end up doing is taking a look, and it looks a little bit like the 5000 at 35% power, the one at the top on, I don't know, whatever, the other side, this side here. that looks a lot lighter in real life than what it looks like here. Matter of fact, let me see if I can adjust this so it looks a little bit more like it should. And that's actually what it looks like in real life. Maybe a little bit lighter. So, of course, I'm playing with the brightness and all this stuff and the contrast, but it's kind of like that there. So, it's not bad. That actually came out to be a pretty good test. And the other interesting thing is, if you notice, and I don't know if you can, but at the top, this top row here, what we end up seeing is that the engraving is pretty much on the surface. But when we get closer to the bottom on this side, we actually see that the engraving is deeper into the wood. So we can actually see that there's a lip on this side here. And it's actually burned into the wood. So that's kind of an interesting little effect that we have here. So it burns more at 60% into the wood, which might be interesting. Let me get this back up to normal, or to where I look good. It's got a little bit of scorching at the 60%. So let's get rid of that. That'll be interesting. So I think what we could end up doing is we could do 3000. Let's see. Because we want some darks. Could do 3000 at 55.8 or even 3000 at 60 or 3500 at 60. But if we really want some darker colors, which we do have some, we could do 2500 speed at 60%. So let's try that. So what we'll end up doing now is going back to this, and this is going to be our test pieces. And which one? Okay, that's the text. And if you click on this and then right click, it'll flash the one that that is supposed to be you, or the graphic that you're actually taking a look at. Let me put myself a little bit down here somewhere. And what we'll end up doing is just changing out some of these settings for, like on this one, that's the one we want. So we'll double click, left double click. And I think what we'll end up doing is 60% at 3000. No, I think we'll do 60%. Well, let's do a range. Let's try 60% at 3500 on this one. 500, we'll still keep it at 508 DPI, everything else is good. So again, 3500 by 60, so this will be grayscale. And what was that, 3500? At 60, a grayscale. I forgot. Let me make sure that's on grayscale. It is. And then we will do all of these at the 3500 at 60. Do it at 60. 3500 at 60. Now we just need to go through and pick all of these. So we'll set it at that power of speed of 3500 millimeters per minute at 60 per minute and 60% power. But now what we'll end up doing, make sure that's the right one, and we'll set this to 3500 at 60, but we're going to be using the dither option, so that's good. I'll go to this one here, and this will be 3500 at 60, and that's going to be using Jarvis, which is down here it says high quality dithering, usually the best choice for smoother shaded or photo images. And so we'll do that, and then this one, Stucky, again we'll make this 3500 at 60, and that's going to be on Stucky, and Stucky says a high quality dithering, slightly faster than Jarvis, a good choice for smoother shaded. And then we also have the choice of doing grayscale, but that's with the CO2 laser, so I'm not sure we're going to get anything on this, because with the CO2 laser, I don't know. For some reason, I have a diode laser, so yeah, that might not turn out well. And which one is this? So we're going to leave this at Stucky. I think that's what it was. Yep, Stucky. So he's Stucky, Jarvis, dither, and grayscale. And if we pull up to make sure we got everything right, we don't want air assist. And I think we're good to go on that. And if we pull up the preview, there's our preview. And again, this is what tells me on this top left that we might not have, that might not print out like that. I'm just saying. If it does, that'll be incredible for the grayscale. Dithering looks kind of dark. If we look down here at the Jarvis and the Stucky, kind of almost the same. It's just so hard to tell. And I've got this cranked up so it's, in that one, the dithering is kind of dark. So I might have to go through and adjust the image. But what we can end up doing, oh, and how long is that going to take? So about 29 minutes. And yeah, so you could even play this and it'll show you what it'll end up doing. So we'll do the text first, and then we'll do the grayscale first, which I don't think it's going to print out like that. Then it's going to do Jarvis. And next it's going to do dithering. And it's always, I think it's important to do this because you might have some problems, and to know the order in which everything is being engraved, and if something is out of the ordinary as you're engraving, then you can kind of spot it and stop it and not waste product. But since I'm just testing, I'm not really concerned about product stuff. So, alrighty. Now what we'll end up doing is we have another piece of wood that we're going to do. And let's go back here. Yeah, we'll put this in there. Now the engraving area on this is only 80 millimeters by 80 millimeters, which is like 3.14 inches cubed or square, whatever. So it's got a little bit of a small small area, and so now what we'll end up doing is we will hit frame, and we'll see that it will stay on the item. Let me pull this up and run it again. And it looks like that'll be good. So the next thing we'll end up doing is we'll just hit start. And in about 29 minutes and 18 seconds, we should be good. So as it starts its thing, so this is going to be a little bit, like I said, the graphics on this are going to, I think it'll be interesting to see if it turns out anywhere close. And just for reference, that is, oh, that's a different one. This is the original graphic. I mean, is that hot or what? So, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting a higher quality laser and to be able to do stuff like this down here. That would be kick-ass. Imagine that being on a coaster. That would be hot. Or even on, wood. Man, that would be cool. And to do something like, even with like a CO2 laser. So if I ended up getting a laser system, kind of like maybe the X-Tool F1 or F1 Ultra or something that has the fiber laser and the diode laser, and it can engrave with the laser on metals and stuff like that. You could engrave on wood as well. Having something like this down here, that would be hot. So, and again, another one would be like this one here. Being able to engrave something like that, that would be awesome. So, yeah. But let's not put the cart before the horse. I think that's what I'm doing. So, we did our little test thing. We'll see how this comes out. Just right on here, 3mm basswood. And today's date is what, 26 October? (2024). For those of you who don't know, I recently had a birthday. So I'm 58 years old. So that'll be interesting to see how life continues on. But being retired here in Korea, the good thing is I've got some hobbies to keep me busy, and I think we're going to take a trip to the Philippines here pretty soon. Just kind of trim up this basswood. And the next thing is that, get a probably, because it's what, October, basically November, December, January, February. So something within in the next 3-4 months, depending, I will get a better laser system. And then I might even do some type of work with it, and kind of sell some stuff, just do a little side gig thing. just move some of this stuff around, make this guy a little bit smaller. My new logo. So for those of you who don't know, that's my new logo. The retired hobby technician, because I'm retired and I do some hobbies and I used to be a technician, so, and I go to the gym, so I thought that was kind of a apropos little graphic there for my logo. I thought that was pretty cool. So, but this is what we're looking at here. Yeah, if we could print stuff out like this, or even I mean, just some real cool stuff. To be able to do this and print stuff. I mean, having custom coasters and different types of materials. There's another reason I want to do glass, and it would need a roller system, so that way you could roll, you know, put the glass or the tumbler or, you know, water bottle or whatever it is on its side, and it would engrave on there. His a family member, wife's family member, ended up getting me some syrups for my lattes, vanilla and hazelnut, and it's a bottle and it's got a little pump on top, and it's Starbucks, you know, but the bottles are cool, and I can refill it with Torriani syrups or whatever. But I imagine take the paper graphic off and then engrave a really cool custom, you know, design and, you know, retro antique motif type of thing, and, you know, it says hazelnut or, you know, vanilla, and then you know, custom graphics on there, engrave it on the glass. That would look really, really sharp. Let's see what this is looking like. I mean, it's going. It's hard to tell. Hard to tell through the orange safety, laser safety cover there. But we can see we're getting a little bit. And again, this is with the grayscale. So this should be interesting. And there's my Mandalorian over there that I ended up painting and doing. Printed him out in resin, because I got my resin printer, and then that was probably, I'd done some other miniatures and stuff like that, but I think he was probably one of my better paintings. But I also have this one I'm really proud of. And we'll kind of bring this guy in there. So I'm really proud of this guy here. And did a good job on him. And this just ended up, he turned out really, really good. So that's a favorite of mine right there. I think he turned out really, really good. And then another good one was this guy here. So you can see him, and did some painting on this guy, and I think he turned out pretty good. His jet engines and everything, and all the colors. So he came out pretty good. I like him too. And then there's this little dragon that I ended up doing. But you can see him. And he turned out fairly well. got some decent details. This is my very first dragon. I think he turned out good. I've got a larger version of this guy, but I just need to paint him, and I've got so much that I need to paint. It's not even funny. You can see I kind of got the underside of the wings and everything. But that one's really good. And then this one was another favorite. This is kind of like my Blood Angel guy, and this was my first volcano base. And so I kind of supported him. And I think he turned out kind of good. So I kind of sprayed up from the bottom on like his legs and stuff to kind of get the glow of the lava down below. With the green eyes and everything. He turned out pretty good. I like him. Not bad. This is a little guy that I ended up doing. And he turned out pretty good. Is it that way? So, little sand, stole some sand from the little playground at our apartment building, and just kind of got him going. So he turned out really good. And then we got the big boy. He's a lot bigger, but kind of got the little barrel burn on him. And the base turned out pretty good. Turn the light off. But yeah, all that turned out really good. You know, with the metal and everything. That's one of my favorites right there. And like I said, I was working on that other dragon, the same dragon, but this guy's bigger, and we're doing a little bit of a different color scheme on him. So you got the purples. I put it in a little bit of flake gold in there to get some different colors. I still need to work on the underside and a lot of other stuff, but we're getting there. So I think this guy will turn out pretty cool. But yeah. Let's take a look and see where we're at on our engraving. And that is the grayscale one, so that should be kind of interesting. It's hard to see through the orange, but that's the graphic that we're looking at doing. Just wanted to see how well that turned out. Now it is going to do the Jarvis. And again, this is at 3,500 millimeters per minute at 60% power. And we're just looking at the different types of engravings that it can do. So we've got grayscale, dithering, Stucky, and Jarvis. And this one is the, which one is this? This one is the Jarvis is what it's doing right now. Like I said, I've done some pretty cool stuff on here. You know, I've actually done some metal, some plated metal, and did some engraving on that. And of course it's not focusing, but yeah, this took about almost 9 hours. So this little rinky-dink 5-watt laser from Wainlux, the K10, it, you know, I was like, yeah, it's plasticky, it's light. It's like, yeah, really. I don't think this thing can run past, you know, a few hours. I thought it would overheat or something, but it lasted, you know, almost 9 hours. So I was pretty impressed. And then we also did some other metal engraving. I engraved on my Gerber, on my folding knife, and we're going to do some more engraving on that. Try to do, test it out and see what happens with that. But I was going to actually do that next, but I got sidetracked when I started doing graphics, and I ended up with these graphics, with this Warhammer graphic. I was like, yeah, I definitely have to do this because that is just hot. And then, you know, you could do the artsy fartsy coasters. You could do these as little plaques. I mean, you could do these as like challenge coins, I guess. You know, put them on different types of wood and then end up cutting them out, you know, putting some lacquer on them, and yeah, that'd be really cool. But there's also lasers that will allow you to add some colored shading, so that would be kind of interesting as well, just to see how far you could take a laser and make stuff. But as far as like the gaming, the hobbying, tabletop gaming, stuff like that, I mean, that's just incredible. And we can see a difference between the Jarvis and the grayscale already. Looks like the Jarvis is has a little bit more readability than the grayscale that we did up top. Excuse me. So with the bigger system is going to be interesting, and I haven't really. I've been going over the different specs and everything of different systems. And of course, you have X-Tool, you have OhmTech, there's a couple other companies like WeCrate, the Raleigh Lasermatics. What was another one I was looking at? The X-Tool, yeah, the F1, the F1 Ultra, X-Tool PS2S. But, you know, for the F1, X-Tool F1, let's just take a look at this real quick. Like the X-Tool F1, I would go for the deluxe bundle, and you're looking at just over $2,000. If I did that with a slide extension, so that way you could do kind of production runs and whatever, you're looking at about $1,700. Just for that alone is $1,500. But I would get the deluxe, so that's $2,000. And that is, let me move myself over here, and let me make this small. I'll move this over so you can actually see what I'm looking at. So yeah, the X-Tool F1, which is a portable laser engraver with IR and diode laser system, is pretty tempting, because you can do a variety of features. Small build area though, or print area, but it has 0.00199 millimeters of accuracy. Whereas this little K10 thing that I got, a couple $100, it's like 0.01 millimeters. So yeah, this would be infinitely better. But yeah, you could do all types of stuff. I don't know if I'd want to go to craft fairs, but 4,000 millimeters a second, doing all kinds of different projects and coasters and this and that and whatever. So it's a 10 watt laser and a 2 watt infrared laser. So with the 10 watt laser is diode wood, acrylic, leather, glass, rock, cork, rubber, food, okay, paper, cardboard. And then the infrared laser does stainless steel, gold, silver, platinum, aluminum, titanium, brass, plastic, acrylic, and iron. Wow. So that's kind of tempting. Oh yeah, look at that. Brass, metal. Imagine this graphic that I'm trying to do and put it on that. That would be incredible. So anyway, but you're looking at, $2,100. The next one up is this one here, which is the P2S. I don't know if I get it in pearl white. Probably go for the space gray. And that is a 50 watt CO2 laser. Has a camera, 26 by 14 work area. But we're looking at $4,900. That is a lot. That's kind of a big machine. I mean, look at that. That's a big machine there. She must be really small. But that's cool. You can take a picture and then, oh, that is cool. And then you can also do batch processing. So it'll take pictures. If you have multiple items and you put the picture on one item and all the other items the same, it'll mimic that. Engraved on curved surfaces. Wow. Autofocus. 0.001 precision. LiDAR. That's crazy. But again, that's like basically $5,000. But then they have the F1 Ultra, which is a 20 watt fiber laser and diode laser engraver, and that's like $5,000. So yeah, I don't know. It's got the same camera system. It has this streamline, like escalator or whatever. So you could just run products from one end to another, so it'll engrave and it'll just like a conveyor belt. That's the word I was looking for, a conveyor belt. But yeah, I mean, look at that. That would be so cool. Cuts thin metal. Batch processing, that's what it is, the conveyor belt. It'll do that and automatically move along. I mean, if I want to get a laser system, engraving system, I would go big or go home. But still, that's 220 by 220. I don't know. But then you have some other things like the Raleigh Laser Matic. And this is another one. Raleigh Automation. And they have a new one, which is the XW with 50% more work area. So it's a 24 by 15.3 work area, available in 10, 20, 30 watt configurations. And so I would go for the 30 with a rotary chuck. So I'm thinking about that one there, because that with a rotary chuck is $1,850 compared to the $5,000 with, or the $2,000 of the X tool. But I don't know if it has the same like picture, focus, get projects done. Okay, rotary check, yep, air assist, yep, cables, easy clean module, blah, 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 maximum scanning speed, cutting speed, basswood plywood, 3 millimeter thick, gives you the millimeters per minute. But I'm just wondering if it has like the, I'll have to look at some reviews on that. So yeah, anyway, it ends up, that's kind of what we're looking at there with our system. Let's get back to this here. We're coming along pretty good. Let me see a little bit. I don't know, that Jarvis looks pretty good. Jarvis looks pretty darn good. So it's coming along nicely. And again, kind of for reference there, that's what we're looking at doing. But of course, these are a lot smaller too, because the print area that I have is only so big. But I think the slate coasters that I ordered are 4 inches. So I think we can do, the print area on this is 3.14 inches by 3.14. So I don't know, basically almost just over 3/4 of an inch border. So I don't know. That might be okay. It might not. A larger area would be nice to do that. Now I will have to say that I didn't purchase this. Yeah. Wainlux, they saw my YouTube channel, The Varied Life. Like and subscribe. I would appreciate that. As you can see right up there. They contacted me and asked me if I wanted to review the K10. And I'd never used a laser engraver before. I was like, I thought it was just kind of artsy-fartsy, that I wouldn't have any fun with it. It wouldn't interest me at all. Because I thought about laser engraving. I thought about people doing scrapbooking and stuff like that. So, I said, listen, I'm going to do an honest review. They wanted me to do at least 2 videos or something. I said, yeah. I said, but I'm going to tell it like it is. And they're like, we're absolutely cool with that. So they sent me the products. I did the unboxing and review video, and I've done some other videos and stuff. And I'm doing more videos because I've really got hooked on this. So it's like, wow, yeah. Now I kind of got the bug for laser engraving. So down the rabbit hole we go. And the cool thing is I'm learning how to do this. I've been devouring, laser engraving videos from like the Louisiana Hobby Guy and a number of others who have teaching and how-to videos, and then I've been doing my own how-to videos and helping people out on the K10 Facebook page. So you get people that are like, I don't understand, I can only, I've got graphics, I got a line, I got this, and I want to, but it's only printing out the line, I don't understand. And I've been able to help some people out. So kind of like with the what we have here, if like we have this is what we're printing right now, but if I selected this and then I went straight to print, the only thing would print would be this selected item. Or if I only selected the text and I hit print, it would only print this and not the other items. So you need to be careful with what you do. So you either just click off so that nothing is selected and everything will print. And then you also have some settings up here on the top right to where you have output and then show. So like for this in the top left, if I click off show, I can remove that from the build area that we see on right up here, or right up here. And so let's say if what we're trying to print and we got too much going on, it's too busy, what I can end up doing is not showing that so I can concentrate on other things, pictures and so on and so forth. But under output, it's still toggled, so if I did deselect and print, it would still output all of these graphics. But I can do show and that will bring it back. But let's say I don't want that to print, it'll remove that and it won't print this graphic, but it'll just be kind of grayed out to show us that, yeah, this is here, but you're just not going to print this out. So being able to help a few people out along the way is kind of cool. So like I said, I'm retired. I would say I have time, but maybe, no. I'm pretty busy being retired. I'll tell you that right now. So let's see, where are we at? So we got about, now we're running over on time. So we're about 1:30 over on time. We still got a ways to go on this, but that's fine. Now I've already engraved. I did my AirPods, my Apple EarPod thing in the case. I already did some engraving on mine. I was the test junkie on that. And then my wife wanted her name with a daisy and a flower and whatever on her case, so I did that, and so she's happy with that. And yeah, just trying different stuff. It's like, well, if I ruin the AirPod case, who cares, you know? But both of them turned out pretty good. And then I think I used what settings did I use? Give me a birch pine, whatever, craft leather, scrap. I can't remember what I used, unfortunately. Maybe it was the black acrylic? Because it doesn't have like ABS plastic on here. So I think I just pulled something out of my butt and tried it and it worked. Let's see how that's turned out. Those are turned out good. Good. So yeah, this laser engraving thing is pretty nice. I enjoy it. And when I get more, waiting for those slate coasters to come in, but I don't know if the print area on this machine is going to be big enough so it looks good on a 4-inch round coaster. So we'll see. How many of those did I order? That's the next question. I want to say I got 12-ish. I don't know. Let me check here. And 12 of them. 12 4-inch pieces. And it's supposed to be coming in today. Delivery has begun. So that was from yesterday. Maybe I'll get it today. Because it went from LA International Airport to Chicago, Chicago to Incheon, Incheon to Seoul Terminal to Songtong Terminal, and then to Onjung Terminal, and then Goduk, and it says delivery has begun. So hopefully, but that was yesterday. So hopefully I'll get it today. That would be nice. I'll definitely get it by Monday. but the slate coasters. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. So those are the slate coasters that I ordered. So the good thing is you can see a little bit of, we've got a little bit of distance from the edge here, which is good. So I'm hoping that I can fill the majority of that so it looks halfway decent. So they got some different types of stuff. I think that would look pretty cool. Great for painting. So yeah, it's got a little bit of an edge on there that comes in. So we might be able to get this full graphic on there. That would be great with this graphic. Getting 12 of those. So I'll definitely use one as a test and do a test grid on it. And then, yeah, that'll be interesting. Interesting indeed. And it looks like we're coming up on the home stretch here. And we are done. Cool. Alrighty, let's see how this turned out. The moment of truth. Dust this off. And there we go. So, if we can get that in frame there, that is not too shabby, huh? Not too shabby at all. Could be darker. We're losing some. I dare say that could be darker. And I think that would be better because we're losing some details on here. And we'll show you what that looks like. So we have the grayscale, which is over here. And then next to that is the dithering. And then the bottom is Jarvis. And then over here we have the Stucky. So which one do you think looks better? And I think what we might end up doing, seems like the Jarvis is a little bit darker. But because it's kind of dark underneath those wings, maybe I need to adjust the image to get some more light on like the legs and stuff like that. So put it in the comment section down below on which one do you think is better, grayscale, dither, Jarvis, or Stucky. So yeah, that'll be interesting. And I might even run this. It's so hard. Maybe I should run this again a little bit darker. Is it 3500 at 60? But then if I do the darker, maybe I need to adjust the picture as well. Because otherwise it's just going to end up being a mass of darkness around. Come on, focus. There we go. So see how on the grayscale, how the legs end up just being really, really dark, and we don't see a lot of detail in the wings. We got a little bit, but on the dithering that looks a lot better. And then when we compare these, so the Jarvis isn't too bad, but still kind of dark. And the Stucky is a little bit okay. I don't know, maybe the dithering is, I don't know. Maybe the Stucky looks better. Because we get a little bit more light on the legs and stuff like that. I don't know, maybe I should just go for dithering. Grayscale or dithering? I'd say the dithering looks good. And then whether it is Jarvis or Stucky. Trying to see the details like the Aquila on his chest, things like that. I don't know, the dithering looks not bad. I just wish it was a little bit darker, so maybe we should run it 60 at 3500, maybe 60 at 3000. And we will do it's so hard to tell. The dithering's it's not bad. I think the dithering is kind of what we're looking at. So maybe we should just run a big one. So again, if I go a little bit darker, I know the grayscale is going to be, that's just not going to work well. It'll be too dark. But then the dithering, maybe with a little bit of darkness in there, we could pull out some more details. I don't know. Decisions. 3,500 at 60. Maybe we could do 3,000 at 60. We could go ahead and run that. So let's go back to our page here. And let's try dithering. So we'll get rid of these. Just kind of move some stuff around here. And let me get this to where we got everything in frame. I'll pull this up and make this bigger. And I'll see how much. I bet you that's, is that gonna fit? That might fit. So let's pull this up, and we'll do 3,000, because if we slow it down, that'll give us more of laser time on the material, so it'll be darker. And one of the recommendations I got was doing a line interval of 0.05 to 0.08. So let's do two of these. We'll do 0.05 at 3,000 at 60. And so we'll do this. At 0.05 on that guy. And then we'll end up doing this and that, and we'll copy and we'll paste, and we will do this. Make it just a tiny bit smaller. On this one, oh, it's going to be 35 or 3000 at 60, and we'll do this one at 8. Oh, and that one 3000 at 60 and 8. So go back to our selection tool, hit this, and is that one? Yep, both of those. 3000, 60%. Oh, I need to, almost screwed up. Let me give this one another color, because we need to do a different color if we're going to do a higher line interval, and it's going to be 3000. That's 60%. We don't have air assist. DPI 0.08, which I don't think. Zero 0.05, 0.08. So that'll be 300, and this is 500. So we'll see the differences in that. Again, let me double check. 0.0799. Okay, whatever. Close enough. Close enough for government work, but we're going to do dither. So I need to set that. Almost forgot. And in this one, that is set to dithering, and I think we're good to go. So now, let's do the check on this. Ooh, interesting. So we zoom in on here. You can see a little bit on how the red is just the path of the laser. And so it'll be off when it's red, and then when you see the dark lines, like what we end up seeing here, that will, like the laser fires, and it'll be, and then it goes off, then turns on, off, turns on, turns on. So it's a series of lines, but we can see how that's going to turn out versus this one. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that works. Okay, alrighty, so let's go ahead, and what we'll end up doing, we go back to our machine, and we'll use the back side of our test piece. It's got a little bit of sticker residue, so I think I need to dust that off. Good enough for government work. Guesstimate on that, and we'll see how that goes. So let's do our preview. Let me pull this up so I can see, frame it. And that should be good. So let's go ahead and we'll run this at 3000 speed, 60% power. The top one is going to be 0.05 dpi, or lines per inch, and then the other one's going to be 0.08. Let's just run it and go. So this should come out to be about 14 minutes and 30 seconds, 15 minutes. It's already at like 14:20. So yeah, not bad. Just kind of farting around, playing with the laser, doing some stuff, seeing what that graphic over there is going to look like, and which is the best setting so far. And if you like this video, like it on YouTube, I would appreciate that, and subscribe to the channel, The Varied Life. I do hobby tech stuff, laser engraving, resin printing, miniature painting. It seems like I get kind of distracted, and so I did the resin thing, and then I got into painting, and then now I'm into laser stuff. So eventually I'll get back into painting, hobby tech stuff. And then we're also retired here in Korea, so I've got some videos about doing that. So we've had a number of people contact me at the address you see down there for questions on what visas we got for Korea. My wife is a Korean citizen, then she became an American citizen. And because she has Korean ancestry, we're able to get, F4 and F1 visa, and we're able to stay here long term in Korea. So if you have a Korean spouse and you're thinking about wanting to retire overseas, you can go to Korea and there is a visa for you. So if my wife wanted to work, she could, but me being the spouse, I can't work. But we're retired anyway. But retiring early, or retiring in Korea, allowed us to retire early. So I just turned 58 this month. And we've been we've been here 2 years. And before that, we spent a year on Oahu, which was way too expensive. Love to retire there, but just way too expensive. And then before that, so we've been retired almost 4 years now. So, which is pretty good. I ended up, I was working the job. My last big job was working for the state of Colorado in the Department of Corrections. I did everything from guard, I did security electronics, I was an electronics technician, I was a lieutenant, and eventually it got to the point of where it was just running me ragged. Working overtime, I was going through a bunch of shit in my life and our lives, and yeah, just horrible time. I mean, the pay was great, the benefits was good. Pay was like $23 an hour. But now people that work in corrections in Colorado, they get paid, the new people coming in are getting paid basically what I was getting paid as an electronics technician. Somebody who was doing the control panels for the cell doors and the Sally ports, and worked with fiber optic systems and computer lines and setting those up, stun fences, PTZ cameras, and zooming in and, seeing what inmates are doing, and did some undercover stuff for, trying to find out what inmates are doing and what staff are doing with inmates, and that was really interesting. But yeah, horrible stress, terrible stress. And then I ended up, finally, I just had enough, and I said, I quit, I'm done. There was no way I was going to work until I was almost 70. So I did the 401k option because I knew I wouldn't be able to make it that long working for the state for the pension. So I went with the 401k, and then I just ended up quitting, and that was the greatest thing I did for myself. So I took some time off, had a lot of medical problems, and then I ended up working upscale security, and being prior military, firearms instructor, Krav Maga instructor, and all that stuff. Working security was like those people are the bottom. Most of those people are the bottom of the barrel, and most of those people are just like, and that's what security companies. Most security companies just need a breathing body. They don't need somebody that can put two and two together, have common sense. They just need a body to be in the uniform, to be somebody. Oh, look, they have a security guard, just to give somebody a second thought of, yeah, maybe I'll go rob some other place or whatever. But yeah, ended up doing that. Had emergency surgery, and it was funny because I went to the emergency room. I had to get life-saving surgery because my gallbladder was necrotized and littered with gallstones. And so I told my supervisor about it, and I had finished work on Friday, went into the emergency room, and they said, yeah, you need emergency surgery because you could die. That's how bad it was. It wasn't like, oh, we're going to wait and we'll schedule it a month or two down the road. No, this was emergency surgery. And my supervisor got pissed because he would have to redo the schedule. Didn't even ask why I was in the emergency room. Didn't even ask, is it you that is in the emergency room? What's going on? And he got so mad at me because he was frustrated, and he was a POS. He just sucked there and collected a paycheck, and he couldn't figure out how to do a work schedule, which is amazing because he was prior military. But he was old military, so he was an older guy. Had problems using a cell phone, didn't know how to use the navigation system on the phone. Yeah, he was one of those. He's definitely a boomer. And so yeah, then he hung up on me. As I'm in the emergency room, we're waiting for tests. We knew that I was going to get surgery, but then he calls back, and it was just like, he goes, well, can you come back next week? And it's like, no, I can't, because here's the problems that I have, blah, blah, blah. 6 to 8 weeks, I'm going to be out. And it ends up, so he gets mad, he yells at me some more. And it was a comedy of errors. And finally I said, you know what, you don't have to worry about it. And he goes, oh, so you're coming back? And I'm like, no. I said, you didn't even ask if I'm okay, if my family's okay, and you're just concerned about the schedule. You care less that I'm getting surgery and that I'm going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks, and if there's complications, which there was, so I had to go back and get another surgery. I said, I don't have to worry about this anymore. He goes, what do you mean? I said, I quit. And then lo and behold, he was such a tool. It ended up that he put one of his buddies, which was really a crass, crude, sexually inappropriate joke type of guy, and it ended up that his buddy took my place, so it was a promotion for him, took my place, and he got in trouble for sexual harassment in the workplace to some female staff there, so he got fired, and then my old supervisor ended up getting demoted, and then the last thing I heard is they were looking to fire him. So, yeah, and it's just, good Lord. Easy job, but unfortunately security companies as a whole, unless you're doing specialized security, like dignitary or VIP security, stuff like that, most security guards are a dime a dozen. They're just air stealers. So, and then quit doing that, and it was like, that's about the same time. For that year, I ended up getting help with my PTSD, all my military stuff, my VA care, going through a really hard time. And then, of course, recovering. And then that's when we also found out that we could retire overseas. And then later we found out that we could retire to Korea. So that would allow us to be able to retire early. So, I mean, I still got a lot of crap wrong with me, but I'm in the best shape that I can be, those things aside. But, you know, just being able to retire overseas, there were some compromises that we had to make in certain areas, but the choice between working, you know, soul-sucking jobs versus a little bit of compromise and retiring early. Yeah, I'll take the retire early part. So, but yeah, you can see pictures of me when I was still working, and then pictures of me now, and it's like night and day, night and day. So, let's see what that looks like. It's going to be interesting. The first one looks like it's doing pretty good, and of course, the larger it is, and so what we'll do is we'll make a determination after this prints out in about 10 minutes, 11 minutes, which is the better of the two, and then we'll do a bigger one, and then yeah. Because that could look pretty good. And with this basswood, I mean, it's not a big. I mean, who's going to have some basswood? But what I might end up doing is cutting it out, maybe put some stain and varnish on it, make it look kind of cool. But we'll see how it goes. Now this is the 0.08, so it's a higher DPI. Or lower DPI, but somewhere between 0.05 and 0.08 is the recommendation for like pictures and graphics like this. So this will help us dial in and see what is the best one to do. But yeah, the Lightburn software is the way to go. And yeah, there's just so much stuff that you can do with this. It's just amazing. I can imagine getting a better laser system. And yeah, it's going to cost me a pretty penny. I'm thinking anywhere from $2,000, because if it's like the Raleigh Lasermatic, like the MK XW or extra wide or extra big or whatever it is, you know, you're looking basically at $2,000. And I don't know if they offer. That's a good question. Do they offer no, because yeah, they have a rotary chuck, and it's got a camera on there. It's got its own honeycomb base, which is good. Oh, and it also has, oh, this is pretty cool. So that Raleigh Lasermatic, we see here, it's got the 20 and 30 watt modules, as well as a 10 watt engraving mode. And that's for about $2,000. So built-in camera. That looks cool. So you can get I wonder if that'll help you center in your graphics onto the items that you're engraving. Larger work area, do larger items, and I think it ends up even having a pass-through between the front and the back, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it does. There's the print head. Yeah, so over here it shows right in there, there's a piece that you can take out, so if you had longer items, you could do those as well. I don't see that happening for me. Drop down extension mod for larger items. Yeah, I'd probably get that too. Jig table. Yeah, I'd probably get that too. So about $2,500 bucks. So I don't know. We'll see. So yeah, that seems to be coming along pretty good. That looks pretty good. So, but just to be able to have a bigger laser, being able to engrave, because on this little 5-watt laser, you can do like wood, MDF, pine board, bamboo, paper, cardboard, craft paper, leather, black acrylic, scrapping paper, slate, ceramics, glass, which both those things need to be coated, coated metal, plated metal, rubber, silica gel, cobblestone, stainless steel, PVC. Oh, that was what I used for engraving on my AirPod case, was PVC. And then ceramic tile, but it won't do silver, it won't do copper, gold, or pure aluminum, or aluminium, as our friends across the pond. Oh, and we're getting so close to being done. And we are done. So let's take a look. And let's see. Of course, back this up a little bit. Interesting. So we see a clear difference between the two. So the one on the bottom looks a lot better. Yeah, let me go this way. Everything's backwards. Is it focusing? I don't know, we'll bring it up there. So let's go back up here. So I would definitely say the dithering at 0.08 looks better. So if we can see that, definitely a little bit better between those two. See, it's kind of dark and muddled. But when we go up to that one, we've got a little bit more. See if we can get some different angles you can see. Excuse the shakiness. But which one do you think is better? I think the 0.08 looks better out of these two. So, yeah, we'll have to try that. So anyway, that's what we got going on. What we ended up doing is running our test grid to find out the colors that we want, or the settings that we need, and then we ran our different colors, or not different colors, but different settings for. We had grayscale, Jarvis, Stucky, Dither, so those things came out. And then out of those, it's not going to focus. So out of those there, then what we ended up doing is printing these two, and it looks like the Dither at 3000, 60% at 0.08 is the best. So what I think I end up doing, since I have some blank space here, is to run that at 0.08, and we'll see how that goes. So let's go back to our program. Back to our program. Coming to you from South Korea. And what we'll end up doing is we're getting rid of that one. Getting rid of that, and we will move this down. We'll make this big, and let's see, move to page center. Boom, there we go. But it's not, because our cropping is off. So we'll just kind of eyeball this. and see if that is going to be enough. Make that a little smaller. Is that going to fit right there? Or right there? Yeah. I think that'll look good. Now let's see if it's within bounds. And yes, it is. So this should take us 20 minutes. And hopefully, let's double check everything. We know our text is good. And 3,000, 60%. And we're running at 0.079, which is basically 8. We'll do an overscan of 2.5%, which is 1.25 millimeters. Number of passes once. And yeah, so let's load this thing into the machine, the machina. And now we'll go ahead and hit frame to make sure that everything will be on the frame. So hit frame. And it's not framing. Stop. Let's see. So we should be good. Frank. There we go. Yep, we are good. So let's just go ahead and we'll double check one last time. Yeah, we're looking at 20 minutes estimated. Now let's just go ahead and hit start. We're off to the races. And it looks like we are doing the lettering first. There's Mando, Roku, Mando, my own little paint job, print and paint on resin. Alrighty. So yeah, there we go. About 55 grams of protein right there. So yeah, looks like we're doing good. So I think this would be pretty cool. And there's a number of, I found out, there's a number of websites where you can get free graphics, free files, just kind of like resin printing. There's websites that you get free files for resin printing. The most of mine are free. But then you also have some that you could end up, paying for, and then, printing guys out like this. You gonna focus or not? So, yeah, some of the guys that I need to paint. I've got way too many of them. But the same thing with engraving, that you can find places that have free DXF files, free engraving files, and so on and so forth. And then, of course, you could always go online and find graphics, AI generation, hey, show me or make me a picture of a motorcycle, a guy on a motorcycle overlooking, on a mountain, looking down a valley during sunset, and boom, the image pops up and you can just run with it. You could also use photographs. If you're graphically inclined, you can make your own designs and pictures and so on and so forth. But it's really coming to a place of where you don't need to be artistically inclined, especially with AI coming out now, and especially with all the stuff you can find on the interwebs. You know, free content, non-copyright stuff, make up your own stuff. But with the AI generation, you can come up with stuff that's just, wow, pretty impressive. And then being able to take those graphics and put them onto whatever you want, you know, glass, wood, stone. That's the other thing I want to end up. Slate, stone, is I want to get those cobblestones. I want to try to engrave some stuff on that. So I think that'd be cool. Will this do stone? Yes, it does. It will do cobblestone. 100% power, 300 millimeters per minute. But yeah, it will do cobblestone. Now, how well it'll do cobblestone, I don't know. But that would be interesting to find out. Now, the cool thing is, the larger the item, we should get some more details, because being that we had things this small, about the size of a $50, I mean, just to give you some reference, you know, there's my thumb. But how far across is that? So we're looking at about 1.5 inches across on these here. So when we look at something as big as this, we should be able to pull out some more details. And especially at 3000 at 0.08. I'm really looking forward to that. But the Lightburn software, and I'm using Lightburn, which is the 1.7.02, and I'm using the trial software. So you get to use it for 30 days for free, and then I think it's like $100 or something like that. Let's see, Lightburn. Lighthburn. Lightburn software. So let's take a look at that. Move myself over here. So yeah, there's the Lightburn. You've got the free trial, layout, editing, control software for your laser cutter. Try it free for 30 days. Install onto 3 computers, PC, Mac, cutting, engraving, no additional software, G-code controllers. They got some forums, they got YouTube videos, all of that stuff. Let's see, how much is the purchase price? I think it comes down to the Pro Core. So basically, I think it's $100. Example supported hardware. So yeah, $100 for that. What's the Pro version? License, and that's $200, including G-code, Gerbil, which is diode, and G-code lasers, which is this, DSP lasers, CO2 fiber UV connected with USB cable. So it's either depending on the laser that you have, it's either going to be $100 or $200. And since it does fiber and CO2 or UV lasers connected with USB cable, PC Bakes, yeah, I might have to get this one here, depending on the laser that I get. But, what is that, LBX? Oh, okay. So yeah, the Lightburn software is definitely the way to go. In future videos, I'm going to move this camera of showing the engraver. I'll move it a little bit closer so we can get some closer than it is. But we're already pretty close. We could move it forward a few inches. I mean, it's about 7 inches away. So you could probably move it forward, and that way on the zoom we could get a little bit closer on this. But that's normal right there. So yeah, I think I'll do that for the next video, so that way we can zoom in more. You know, it's funny because before, I joined the military when I was 17. I turned 18 in basic training, and I was in the delayed entry program. I graduated high school early, got in trouble. The judge suggested I find something to do with my life, and I didn't have a way for pay to college, and so I ended up going to the recruiters. Almost became a Marine, but they wanted me to do 4 years. And then I was all hyped up to go kill, and all that stuff. But they wanted 4 years, and I was like, even though I was young and stupid, at least I was smart enough to think and say, well, if I do 4 years in the military and I hate it, I'll be hating it for 4 years. That'll be 4 years of a hate relationship, and that's not good. So that kind of soured me to the Marines. I said, if you do 2, I said, if you got 2 years, I'll do 2 years. And then, I left, and then outside, a guy was standing by, Army guy was standing by his Camaro smoking a cigarette, and he's like, hey, he was parked right out front, the station there, and he's like, hey, he says, I heard you talking to the Marines there. And I said, yeah. And he says, yeah, I heard, I kind of overheard that, you don't want to stay in that long. I said, yeah, I don't, because if I hate it, that means I got to hate it for 4 years. And he goes, oh, really? He says, well, we got a special program. So he put that line out there and got me. And he says, well, we got a special program. And he says, and if I can pull some strings, I should have known he was BSing me. I mean, he wasn't, but he was. But he says, I got a special program, and I might be able to swing it so that you can enlist in the Army for only 2 years. And I was like, what? He goes, oh, yeah, we do the same thing as Marines, except we pay them a little bit more, and we've got better equipment than the Marines. So through a series of talks that I had with this Army recruiter, next thing you know, yeah, I'm in the Army now. And then, I ended up doing 20 years. And during that 20 years, basically I was an adult. Work hard, play hard, didn't do any hobbies. Got married, had a kid. Still married, still have a kid. So, things are working out there. But, yeah, it was just funny how that happened. And the judge was, so I got in trouble. I was on probation and so on and so forth. And because I was a juvenile and it wasn't serious enough to keep me out of the military, the Army guy's like, well, as long as your records are sealed and it's not like, grand theft auto, murder, rape, or whatever, he says, yeah, I can pull some strings. I was like, wow, this guy's doing a lot for me. He must like me. So anyway, I signed away for 2 years, and every time after that, so when you get close to getting done with your enlistment, they have an in-service recruiter. And the in-service recruiter goes around and tries to get you to stay because that's his job. And so it was like, But I was having too much fun. I was working hard, playing hard, and then it would get around to the time where it's like I need to make a decision on whether I'm going to get out, ETS, exit the service, or re-enlist and stay in. And it ends up, it's like they'd always come around and say, well, you're coming up on the end of your enlistment. Have you done any research or planning? What kind of job you're going to get when you get out? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And of course I didn't. And so, he's like, oh yeah, if you get out, you're not going to be getting paid. You're going to have to find a place to live. And, you told me about your dysfunctional family. So, you'd have to either go live with them or, you're going to get out and just be homeless and then try to find a job. I mean, he painted it so insanely depressing. And it's like, by that time, after talking to him, I was like, good Lord, I don't want to be homeless and not getting paid. So, yeah, every re-enlistment came up, and I stayed in. And I would do like 2 years at a pop or 3 years or whatever. And, until I retired. I think I did a 4-year enlistment once. I'm not sure. I think they were mostly 2. But, it was just funny. And then I almost got out at about the 10 or 12 year mark where the Army was downsizing. And they said, yeah, if you want to get out, because we got too many people, and we can get you out and we can give you money. And I was like, money? Money's good. I like money. By the way, if you got that reference to Idiocracy, give yourself a thumbs up and give me a thumbs up for putting it out there. Anyway, it was funny because I was like, I like money, but by that time I was like E5 or E6 or something like that, and then they were like, oh, you can get, and I think it came out to like almost $20,000, which sounds like a lot of money. And it's like, oh, I could get out and survive, and for 6 months I could get a job. I could almost make it a year probably on 20 grand. But then people were like, yeah, you got to pay taxes on that. And then it was like, oh, okay. And then, but yeah, I was so close to getting out, But I stayed in because I was married, had the kid, and even though a lot of stuff sucked in the military, there was definitely times a huge suck. Deployments and all that. I stuck it out, and I'm so glad that I stuck it out for 20 years. But then at the end, as soon as I was eligible for retirement at 20 years, I actually wanted to stay in until like 24, 26 years and then retire. But by that time, it had gotten so stupid in the military. People telling me what my job was, who didn't even know what my job was. Micromanaging was insane, and finally it was just the straw that broke the camel's back was like, yeah, no, I'm done. And I actually had orders for recruiting, which at that time, which was terrible. It was like 2000. I found out I got orders for recruiting in 2004, coming up on 2005, and that would be about the time that I was eligible. So I was like, dang it, recruiting is like back then was terrible. If you didn't get anybody, you're a zero. You recruited a bunch of people and told a bunch of lies, and I didn't like that. And so my service director, branch manager, that was it. The branch manager from my MOS was notorious for not helping anybody. And so I sent him a message talking about how my dad was 100% disabled, and he had a family business, and my 2 younger brothers couldn't step up and run the business, and blah, blah, blah. And it was a last-ditch effort to try to get out of recruiting. And people were telling me, go into credit card debt, run everything up, file for bankruptcy, and then they won't take you. And it's like, I can't do that. I'm not going to ruin that. So I just did the whole sob story thing, which was true, about my dad and my 2 younger brothers. And he wrote me a message back and said, you've got 30 days to get your retirement orders, which meant that I would have to hand carry everything. And back then it was kind of, yeah. you had to call in some favors, and if people didn't like you, yeah, I would be going to recruiting. But because I did a great job, and a lot of people went to bat for me, I think it was in like 25 days, something like that. It was like 3 weeks, less than 30 days that I had my retirement orders in hand. So as soon as I got my retirement orders, sent the information to my branch manager, and he says, okay, all right, you're good. And then I retired at 20. I really wish I could have stayed longer, at least 24, but it was just so notoriously stupid in the military. It was just crazy. But yeah, I think we're doing good on this. We've got about a minute 45 left. And if this prints out pretty good, that'd be interesting to see how it would look on glass. Because I got like 24 pieces of glass, and so we'll end up doing that. Oh, that looks good. That looks real good. So yeah, that is not bad at all. Let me see, can I brighten that up a little bit? That doesn't really make much of a difference. Temperature, saturation, oversaturated, undersaturated, doesn't really make a difference. Gamma correction. So you see a little bit in there. So I can set it to black and white. I can set it to sepia, blur effect, which I don't want to do. All kinds of cool little settings I can do on this. So we're under about 10 seconds. We're almost done. 3, 2, 1. And now we're running a little bit over, a few seconds. Going faster, faster, faster. Yeah, we're almost there. And we are done. Alrighty. Let's take a look and see how this went. Ooh. Remember how I said it would look better, bigger? Oh, it does. Behold. Look at that. That is good. Look at the details on that. That is nice. Wow. That turned out really cool. Yeah, if you don't believe me. Wow. So, so much. Let me see if we can get it. So some pretty good details there. As we pull back, look at that. Isn't that something? Let's kind of move it around a little bit. Does that look awesome or what? And that's with this, just this little cheapo 5-watt laser. I mean, that just ends up being great. You could probably go a little bit darker. But yeah, that turned out awesome. Wow. Tell you what, let's take a photo. And then we'll throw it up on the screen. To show you what we got. Man, that came out good. Oh, that is some. I think we could go a little bit darker too. But let me fix some stuff on here. And we will rotate this around. Straighten this out a little bit. And then we shall do some cropping. That turned out really, really good. Alrighty. Now I'll send this to myself. And then we'll put it up on here and we'll show you what it looks like. But man, that turned out good. That turned out nice. I like it. Me likey. Download, and boom. So there it is. Talk about, I'll go this way. Look at that. That turned out pretty darn good. And just to give you some reference, that is the original. So not bad. Not bad at all for a little 5-watt beginner laser system. Like I said, I think we could go probably a little bit darker. We could probably go maybe 65% or 70%, and we could get a little bit more clarity on some of the details. But yeah, that turned out good. Wow. That would look hot on a coaster. Just needs to be a little bit dark. And in real life, this ends up, it's like a little bit, come on, focus. See how it's a little bit darker? That's actually what it is a little bit darker. The color's a little bit off, but it is a little bit darker than what's in that picture there. But I like it. That is really good. Wow. So yeah, that's what we got going on. Playing around with the Lightburn and the Wainlux K10 5-watt laser that we have. It's that little guy there. Boom. There it is. And we were able to pump that out pretty good. So yeah. So anyway, that's what we got going on, playing around with that to find all the details off of doing our little test grid here. And we picked out what we wanted, and then we kind of adjusted. We tried out the different styles, and we settled with dithering. And then we did some minor changes and ended up with 3,000 speed at 60% at 0.08. And we could probably, maybe even 2,500 at 60%, or 2,700 or something like that. We could just get it a hair darker. Let's see if we can focus. Focus. There we go. So if we look at, we're at 3,000 at 60%. And maybe if we go down to like 2,700, so we could get a little darker. I don't know. But yeah, you could always go to the nth degree when it comes to dialing these things in. But man, that is nice. Super nice. So anyway, that's what we got going on. Thanks for joining me on this journey of dialing in my little laser engraver there. I think that turned out nice. Now the question is, I think the next thing I'm going to try to do is work on learning how to engrave on glass, since I have those glass pieces. And from what I've seen, you can use like a permanent marker on glass to cover it in black. You can brush paint it with acrylic black. Since I've got an airbrush, I can do that, and I put some really good coats on there, and then we can do a test grid on that, and we'll see how that goes. But we won't do that today. We'll do that on another video. But yeah, that turned out nice. I mean, what do you think? Do you think that turned out pretty good? Put it in the comment section down below. And with that being said, if you would give this channel a like and subscribe on the YouTube channel, I would appreciate that. And then if you feel the need, you can buy me a coffee. I would appreciate that as well. And for those who have given me coffees in the past, there's actually somebody else who donated coffee, as well as the someone else, somebody anonymous. So other people have bought me coffees, and you can too if you want. If you don't, just like and subscribe to the channel. That'll keep the evil YouTube algorithm gods off my back, and that would really help. So yeah, that's what we got going on. Some fun stuff here at The Buried Life, playing around and having some fun. Steve, the retired hobby technician guy now, living in Korea. And if you've got any questions, comments, concerns, that's all down in the comment section. Or you can send me an email if you want some private, questions or whatever. Retirement in Korea, whatever it is, or some of this hobby stuff. I'm pretty good at answering the emails. I haven't let any slip by since. I get a fair number. So there's that. If you have any suggestions, or if you know more than me about laser engraving, I'm a sponge. So if you've got any playlists that would make my life easier, online information to make me better at laser engraving, please let me know and put that in the comment section down below. So anyway, it's about 10:20 right now, and I'm getting a little hangry. So trying to put on some muscle, so it's time for me to eat again. And with that, we will see you on the next video. Peace. Good stuff. Good stuff.